Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning. With us today is KT McFarland, and she is the former Deputy National Security Advisor under Michael Flynn. And KT, there's so many things happening with Davos this week and other foreign policy. It looks like President Trump looks like a real hero. And finally, maybe the Europeans respect him. Can you give us an update of what's going on?
This has been a huge week in President Trump's very distinguished presidency. It's not just the Gaza peace plan that's now moving into stage 2, something that everyone thought would never happen, peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. It's not just the Board of Peace, which looks like it could be a problem-solving group going forward for a lot of issues in the future. It's not just the deal that he's getting with Greenland, but it's the potential for building a Golden Dome. Now, what's that? So I worked for President Reagan, and in 1983, I wrote something called the Star Wars speech, which Reagan gave, and he put out the vision to could we develop a defense against nuclear weapons, a system that would shoot down out of the air intercontinental ballistic missiles carrying nuclear weapons to the United States. We have no defense against nuclear weapons then. We have no defense against nuclear weapons now. We didn't have the technology then, but we may potentially have that technology now. We know the Israelis have taken our technology and made the Iron Dome, which we see with great effect. It's been very successful in shooting down the proxy missiles from Hezbollah and Hamas. But could Donald Trump build a system that would shoot down enemy intercontinental ballistic missiles carrying nuclear weapons, hypersonic missiles, cruise missiles, all carrying nuclear weapons? He could do it. And the fact that he now has a deal with Greenland, that we could base such a system in Greenland, is going to change the world, because it would mean that the United States and Canada and Northern Europe would be free from the threat of nuclear attack. That's something earth-shattering.
And that's it builds like between Greenland, Canada, Alaska. It builds like a whole section of protecting Europe, or protecting the United States and Canada, protecting the part of the Pacific. And I mean, that's a home run deal.
That's a home run for decades. I mean, that's a home run for the rest of our century. And what it does is, the reason it's so complicated is it would be space-based. So there would be interceptors in space, missiles that would shoot down missiles from space. They would also be based in the land. We would have surveillance and intelligence, which would see where these missiles are going. So when a missile launches from, let's say, Russia, and we see it just as it's just leaving the Russian territory to go up into the atmosphere, we could see that. And it will go over the Arctic. It's the shortest route. It would go over the Arctic, and we could shoot that down before it became a problem, before it re-entered the atmosphere. And when you think of any kind of nuclear war that could happen, now we don't think about nuclear war anymore because it just seems like such a crazy concept. We haven't worried about it for decades. But it's still there. The threat is still there. And if we could take the land in Greenland and Canada and Alaska, and we could build this system that would defend us against nuclear attack over the Arctic, would be a complete game changer. It would effectively make nuclear weapons obsolete. Because if we could shoot them down, why build them in the first place?
Well, that sounds like a great deal. Well, what else is going on? I mean, any updates on what's going on with Iran or Gaza?
With Gaza, again, no one thought that there would be peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And President Trump has pulled it off. And he's done it with a Gaza peace plan, 20-point peace plan. Everybody in the world signed up. The reason that's significant is it separates the Palestinians from Hamas. And the Palestinians want to rebuild their country. Hamas wants to destroy their country and have perpetual war with Israel. Hamas has now been sidelined. And that's the Board of Peace that's doing that. The other thing that's important is that in Venezuela, So President Trump Maduro is gone. He's coming to the United States to face justice. He's killed Americans. But President Trump is now working with the next tier of leaders in Venezuela to effectively have a good relationship with us. We will develop their resources, particularly their oil resources. And as President Trump said this past week, he said, between the United States and Venezuela, we could control like 60% of the world's oil supply. And if you look at the future, what's the future going to be? It's all going to be about artificial intelligence and we have to have a lot of energy to do that. Well, who has artificial intelligence? We do, the Chinese do. Who has energy? We do. And the Middle East does, and Venezuela does. Who has both artificial intelligence capabilities and energy? We do.
Wow. That's pretty good. Now, that's the Gaza. Iran. I spoke to General Petraeus last week. I spoke to former Secretary of State Pompeo. Are we slowly moving in additional ships close to Iran?
Yeah, we're doing that because we want options. President Trump has learned the lesson of failure of the Bush administration, where we toppled leaders. We had regime change. We disbanded their military. We disbanded their government. And then we became the occupying force and fought these forever wars in the Middle East that we couldn't win. So President Trump's not going to do that. But he's also learned from the failure of President Obama, who toppled the leaders during the Arab Spring, but then walked away and then assumed democracy would happen. Well, democracy didn't happen. What happened? Islamic extremism, ISIS, came out of the Arab Spring. So I think President Trump is looking at, okay, we could take military options. We could decapitate a leadership. But then what happens next? Who runs that country? We don't want to make sure that the lights are working and that the highways are working and the water filtration systems are turned on and collect the taxes. No, we want to make sure that there's somebody to work with in that country. And I think that's why we've got them. He wants to have the military option. He may not use it, but he wants to have it at his disposal.
Yes.
That's why he's moving
it scares the crap out of them besides.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Last
we only got about a minute left. The last one, Ukraine and Russia. Is there ever going to be a solution?
Well, it could go on for another year or so. It all depends on what happens in the next 3 days in Moscow, because Trump has sent a team now to Moscow. They're going to negotiate with Putin. As Trump said, there have been times when Ukraine wanted to settle, and that Russia didn't, and then times when Russia did, and Ukraine didn't. So Ukraine is now on board. They want to settle. Will Vladimir Putin want to settle? Only time will tell.
Thank you so much for the update, KT McFarland, and hopefully the world's going to be a better place for our kids and grandkids to live in.
Couldn't agree more, and I think 2026 is shaping up to be the year that changes the world.
Busted. The reviews are in. Awesome. You wanted more Joe Concha. And we heard you. More Joe, more show.
We're talking to you.
Under promise and over deliver. Joe Concha, weeknights at 9. Plus, Sunday mornings at 11 on 77 WABC.
Jimmy Kimmel no longer tries to be funny. Not that he ever really was.
Joe Concha, weeknights at 9. Plus, Sunday mornings at 11.
Democrats defending cocaine coming into the country.